Well, this is what happens with family scapegoating abuse. Your psycho-emotional pain is denied over and over and over again. The things that happen to you, that if they'd been filmed could be provable in a court of law, are simply not believed. And not only not believed, no one ever asked you for your side of the story. No one thinks to themselves, maybe what they're hearing about you isn't true. And I'm talking about the family smear campaign. I'm talking about when your cousins and relatives and nieces and nephews and whoever will listen has been told these stories about you. The scapegoat narrative, ground zero, usually started very early on in your family of origin. The story that one or both parents, or perhaps an older sibling or someone who abused you or sexually abused you, wants to cover their tracks. They need to make you a not believable reporter. They need to hide their abuse, whatever type of abuse has been perpetrated on you. And you are labeled a liar, crazy. So if you ever tell your truth, by God, no one's going to believe it. Who would believe the reports of a crazy liar? This is the injustice of scapegoating abuse. That you can lose family, extended relatives, friends who believe a bunch of lies about you. How many of you, I'd love to hear in the comments, have ever had someone come to you and say, you know, I heard these things about you and I'm having trouble believing it, or I really thought it was important I hear from you before, because I really feel like maybe I can't even know you anymore. I want to hear from you. And then you have to hope that they'll believe you when you report and share maybe years of abuse, a lifetime of abuse in your family of origin from one or more family members. And if you had a parent or sibling, someone in the family with some power, and they were a narcissist or malignant narcissist, I call that the double whammy. And if you had an alcoholic family system, alcoholic or addicted family system, narcissistic family system, and intergenerational trauma, dysfunctional family system, everything that goes into that again, I go into great length about in my book on family scapegoating abuse, Rejected, Shamed, and Blamed. If you haven't read it, I really recommend that you do, because family scapegoating is systemic. It's very rarely carried out by just one person. It's very rarely not systemic. And I was surprised before I came on YouTube and wrote my book. I didn't understand why I wasn't seeing family systems talked about very often in regard to family scapegoating. I think that's changed over the last few years. I wasn't seeing complex trauma talked about in relation to family scapegoating. I wasn't seeing betrayal trauma talked about in relation to family scapegoating. And frankly, the reason I gave it a name, family scapegoating abuse, is because it was just being called narcissistic abuse. It's a very specific type of abuse. That's what my research focused on in the field of family systems. We called it the identified patient years ago. And there's research going back 50 years on the quote unquote family identified patient. The term scapegoat can also capture some of those identified patient dynamics that were well researched on in the field of family systems. It's not just narcissistic abuse. Family scapegoating can happen in families where there's actually no narcissist. And I think a lot of us have righteous rage because it's unjust. It is unjust to have your character distorted, to have lies told about you, to be called mentally ill, to be called crazy, to be called a liar, when you're no such thing. And it seems like the family members get to walk off scot-free and they're never questioned. And the scapegoated person, as I have a lot of people on this channel in their 60s, 70s, 80s. And as they've written to me, you know, Rebecca, please do a video on those of us who are elderly and alone, profoundly alone, because nieces, nephews, great nieces, extended family member, all believe I'm this crazy, horrible person. To actually face the truth, and face the fact that a great injustice was done is just simply too hard for most family members to look at. So they don't. But we have to live with it every day, don't we? With the wreckage.